Welcome to Rearview Diaries. I'm your host, Paul. Today's episode is Joy from Random Act of Kindness. Before I start, I want to dedicate this particular episode to my late father. My father was very, very kind and very, very open about everything around him. To him, there was no stranger. He would go up and talk to everybody, greet everybody, and welcome everybody. So on that note, let's continue with our story. Today's story is where I picked up a couple from a rent-a-car agency. And from a distance, as they were walking towards my car, I noticed that there was a little bit of disappointment in their facial expression. They came into the car, smiled, and said, "Thank you for picking us up." At that moment, I noticed an accent. So I asked them, are they traveling from overseas? And they said, yes. I said, "Welcome to Atlanta." He said, "Thank you." And as I punched in my phone and we saw the destination, obviously they were going for lunch. And I said, "Oh, you're going for lunch?" And they said, yes. So as we started to move, I asked them, I go, "Well, I saw a little disappointment in your face as you were walking towards the car." And I asked him, "What is wrong?" And the husband goes, "Well, we're trying to rent a car one way to our final destination. And none of the rent-a-car agency would accommodate that. So we're trying to figure out how to get there." And I go, "When do you have to be there by?" He said, "Tonight." And so this was about noon. And then I said, "Tonight? And without a hesitation, I don't know, something overcame, it's just something came to me. And I said, "Well, where you need to go?" And then once they gave me their destination, I punched on my map and I found out it was about 110 miles away. So it was about 2-hour drive each way. And then I told them, because they looked a little hopeless or helpless, but they were such a nice couple. So I told them, "You know what? I'm going to drive you there. Because trying to find a ride here that will take you there would be so expensive. And also they're going to ask for more money because they need to come back. But, I want to help you. I always remember random act of kindness is so important. So let me help you, my friends." And he goes, so I went and reached my hand and we shook together. We shook our hands. I said, "Now we're friends. So I'm going to take you." And they said, "Amazing. Really?" I go, "Yes. You know what? I'm going to even do one thing more. Let me know where you're going to be around 3 o'clock so I could pick you up from there and then take you to your hotel and pick up your luggage. So you could save another rideshare ride. And you know what? Please." And then we exchanged phone numbers. And when the time came, I went to go pick them up. But before that, I noticed that the destination we were going, they had Buc-ee's. And Buc-ee's is one of my guilty pleasures. So I go, you know what? I could drop them off, stop at Buc-ee's, eat my favorite brisket sandwich, and I'll come back. So it's a ride for me to go eat my favorite brisket sandwich. And, and those of you who know me really well, I'll drive anywhere for food, or I'll go anywhere for good food. So I went to go pick them up. And as we were driving, we start to open up and talk, in more depth besides, the weather and everything else. And I found out that he was a doctor and he runs a ministry. And as we were driving, he was saying that, we're just so grateful that you're doing this for us. And I said, well, one thing I did learn from my father is that you need to help people in need. And also random act of kindness is so important because my father has done that throughout his whole life. And I remember seeing it. So in ways, I was educated by my father, not by telling me what to do, by an example. And this is one instance where the example came through and I actually helped somebody in need. And as we were driving, we got to the location. They thanked me, and I thanked them for a wonderful conversation about, travels and so forth. And it was really a enjoyable 2 hours. And on the way back, I stopped at Buc-ee's, had my sandwich, had some drinks, and then I started to call some of my friends and family. In particular, one of my friends told me, she said, you know what, these couple, they're never going to forget this. What you have done is something that most people will never do. I go, I know, but I feel so good doing this because I feel like I was able to help somebody, especially in dire needs. And I go, yeah. And so I told them, I told my friend, I go, actually, to be honest, I feel so much better than the effort that I put in, because just giving up 4 hours of my day have given them a peace where they were having lunch and spending the afternoon not worrying about how they were going to get there. And on top of that, it was 2 people. So, maybe I should be greedy. If there was 3 people, it would have been triple the return. But anyway, that doesn't really matter. But most importantly, I was so happy that I was able to do this. And then my friend goes, can you imagine? They're going to go and tell everybody how wonderful people in Atlanta. And on top of it, they're going to talk about this to everybody. And I go, well, I'm going to talk about how wonderful they were as my new friend. And then we did exchange numbers, and we did talk about, when I do go visit them, they said, please come, and they would love to show me around. So I made a new friend. And then looking back at this experience, it was, some of my random act of kindness, when I first started driving, was helping an old senior citizen with their grocery back to their door, or helping with wheelchair, just random things, helping with luggage. And those are easy kindness. It didn't take a lot of effort, but this one, it was 4 hours of commitment, but somehow I just wanted to do it for them. And I feel so good. And so one of the things I really, when I really think about this particular ride is that, I finally did something that my father would be proud of. And I learned something not by being told, not by reading a book, by watching it, a great example. So Dad, thank you so much. I miss you, and thank you for this amazing gift you have given me. Everybody, thank you so much for listening to me on this episode of Rearview Diaries. Before I weep anymore, I just want you, if you guys like the story, please subscribe. And I would love to hear your comment. And also, like this video. Thank you again until the next episode. And I can't wait to see you in my rearview mirror.